This is a basic novice judging informational and specific in regards to the world school style parliamentary debate that is taught at Peai Middle School, although it is probably applicable to the Peai elementary level as well. So the first thing that is of course important in any debate is to understand the basic structure of the debate. So here, if you look here, we can see that a debate will look like this. It is comprised of 8 speeches, 4 for the proposition side and 4 for the opposition side. Proposition team is going to be arguing for the motion, whatever that may be, and opposition team will argue against the motion, whatever that may be. So here we can see proposition begins the debate and then it goes through, and you can just follow the arrows through. But here we have a little bit of an anomaly. The third opposition rebuttal and the fourth opposition reply will go back to back, and this is just so that proposition can begin and end the debate. So they have the first and last word. A few things about the timing of the speeches is here we have the constructive and rebuttal speeches, and this is basically the first 6 speeches, and they must be between 5.5 minutes according to the upcoming debate to 6 minutes, although that may vary specifically depending upon which debate tournament you might be attending. And then the only thing that is different here are the reply speeches, which just means the last speeches. It's a conclusion speech, and those are between 2 to 3 minutes. The other important thing to note about all speech times is there's this grace time. It's a 30-second grace period given to all speakers. So no matter what the maximum time is, there will be a 30-second grace period in which they can speak without being penalized points. So this is in essence what a debate will look like. The students should be fairly familiar with all of this and can help you out. They will keep time themselves, or they should keep time themselves. You can ask them to if they don't look like they know what they're doing, but you should also have your own timer to make sure that they do not go under or over time. And we'll talk about that when we talk about the points rubric. So the points rubric, it will look like this. It's the adjudicator's ballot, So here, I already filled it out. I just wrote my last name, first name, last name, it doesn't matter, my name for who I am, and, panel, chairperson. Most of the time we're a chairperson just because we're all by ourselves, unless we're part of finals or semifinals. What round it is, this is pretty important. The motion, not as important. You can abbreviate if you need to. The students and judges will know what you're referencing, and then the room number, maybe not as important. So here you would write the government name. I just wrote A, we'll call it Apple, and then, team B, we'll call it water. And then here I already filled in the speaker names: Mary, Bob, Joy, Bob, again, Timmy, John, Joe, Timmy. So you may have speakers repeat themselves, you may not. It just depends on how many speakers there actually are. There are traditionally 3 speakers per each team, but there may be 4, there may be 2. So the students will know what speaker positions they are. And in order to fill out this rubric, and in order to fill out this ballot, there is going to be a, rubric here that should be given to you, judging rubric and guidelines. And so here you can see that there is another sample ballot for you to reference. And then here are the grading rubrics. So we very rarely give perfects or poors, and if somebody stands out, then absolutely give it to them. But on average, we'll give these bolded selections right here. And so you can just fill in the score according to how you feel and see fit. So we have style, presentation, so clarity, volume, gestures, and posture. These are just a few of the options available to you. And then we have content and strategy, etc. So you can just read that. The important thing here is not to worry too much about whether you are understanding every little nuance of debate itself. Debate is a tool, it is a competition in which we competitors are learning to present our arguments, to present ourselves in a persuasive manner, and this does not relate just specifically to those who are familiar with the debate. So don't be too worried or get too lost in the fact that you don't know all of the little specifics. You can trust yourself that you know what a good argument looks like and you know what a bad argument looks like. And if they have not done their job persuading you, then that's on them, not you as a novice judge. If you feel uncomfortable with being a novice judge, I always encourage my students to ask, but if you want to tell them in advance as well, just say, hey, I'm a novice judge, just so you know, don't be throwing a lot of technical information at me. And the debater's job is to adapt to adapt to the situation. So here, one thing you should note is this is just for the first 6 speeches, and then over here is for the last speeches, for the reply speeches. So you can see that they're half the points. You have 5 here and you have 10 here, then the other speeches, and this is just because this speech is literally less than half of the first 6 speeches. So you just follow along and grade accordingly. The other couple of things to note also on this rubric would be the margin. And so the margin is essentially just saying, hey, how significant is the win? If this margin is really huge, then we encourage judges to try to lessen the margin a little bit, just so that way there isn't a significant skew. Perhaps they had just one really bad round. We don't want it to set them back too significantly in the future if perhaps it was just a off round. And then we have this time penalty, and this is pretty important. It's important, just like in any other sport, that the students play within the guidelines of the game rules. And so here there will be time penalties if they go under or over time. The penalties for going under time are to help encourage the students to continue to speak even if they're a little bit uncomfortable. And then of course going over maximum time is just unfair. So here, for every 15 seconds over or under, again in this case it'll be between 5.5 minutes to 6.5 minutes, including grace time, then you should subtract 1 point. And this may cause the winning team to lose, but that is okay because this is a protection for enforcing the rules. So this is basically the rubric. Just one other thing that I would like to point out. On this rubric, you have 2 different categories here, teamwork and POIs. Teamwork is how well did they work together? Are they fighting? Are they on the same page, etc.? And POIs is something that is unique to parliamentary debate in that it's just a question asked in the middle of the debate. It's called a point of inquiry or point of information. And although there is some contention as to what these points of information can include, it should be a maximum of 15 seconds of a question. They can't go on and on about the question. And it really should be a question, although in some situations clarification of fact or information are okay. So after that, you would just add up all the totals, create the team total, and then circle the government and opposition team. Here in the comment section, that students will not read this comment. They will not see this ballot in person, so you can go ahead and feel free to take any notes you want to help remind yourself what happened in the round, what you might want to tell the students, etc. We do not allow disclosure of who won at the end of the round, so please do not tell the students who won, but rather offer constructive feedback to both sides saying, hey, you did this really well, hey, you can improve on this, etc. So this is your adjudication ballot. If you have any questions, always ask the judges, the other judges in the tournament, or even the coaches will have more than enough information to share with you. And then finally, here is just something, it's a little bonus. This is the way I like to keep track of what the debate is, what is happening inside the debate. So you see here, no matter how many speakers there are, the standard parliamentary debate will include a total of 6 arguments, 3 arguments from each side. So here I have proposition 1, 2, 3, and I have opposition 1, 2, 3. And I like to keep them in separate colors. I keep proposition in red and opposition in blue, or vice versa. It's insignificant what colors you choose. And so here the first proposition argument, as you can see, is that apple juice is delicious because it has a lot of natural sugars. So this is the essence of the first proposition argument, and I may take more notes or details, but obviously for this purpose it's shortened. And then the opposition team would hopefully rebuttal against that. And here I wrote it in that same square because I like to keep track of what's happening in the debate by argument as opposed to by speaker, and I find that that makes it a lot clearer. So here I wrote what the opposition responded to. And then proposition came up here again and defended their argument. And so here, if I look at this box, I can see everything that has happened in the debate so far and who I think is winning this argument. And then I can keep my own notes there in a third color if I wanted to. So this is definitely not the only way to keep notes, but I find that regardless of the specific organization or method, keeping track of the debate by arguments seems to be the clearest and easiest and most reliable way to keep track of these arguments. So this is just a summary of what it is like to be a novice, what you might expect as a novice judge judging world school style parliamentary debate for PI.